covering all your latest sports news, trades, scores, signings, all here on Sports Talk Live with Alex Pat on WCGR 88.5 FM, The Underground. WCGR 88.5 FM, The Underground. Welcome to Sports Talk Live with Alex Pat. I'm your host, Alex Pat, and today we got a really good show for you. I have my good buddy and sports writer, Eric Nemchock, here. Eric, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going very good. And we're here to do a special basketball segment. We're going to talk about the NBA, other basketball teams, and just talk about the sport as a whole, because Eric here is an expert in that kind of stuff. So who better to have on than that? So, Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now?
What I'm doing right now? Well, actually, I'm waiting to graduate, so it's not a heck of a lot going on in my personal life. But as far as basketball is concerned, I write for a website called Today's Fastbreak. My boss is Jason Pat. You might know him.
Yeah, he is my older brother.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, so yeah. Older brother, Alex's older brother, Jason, really good guy. I actually cover the WNBA and whatever else Jason might have me do. He is the website's coming along really well. You know, it just kind of started, but it's part of the FanRag Sports Network where each sport is kind of covered. We got Today's Fast Break, and there's one for hockey, there's one for baseball, one for football, one for college sports, so on and so forth. I can't really speak much on that because I don't work for those, but as far as Today's Fast Break goes, basically what we try to do is we try to cover the NBA and other basketball leagues in a way that both gives people everyday news updates and analysis as well.
All right, great. And it sounds like it's a little bit like SB Nation. Is there any affiliation with SB Nation?
SB Nation? I don't think so. It's kind of along the same lines of it. It's kind of like a blogish sort of thing, but I think we try to aim to be a little more on the journalism side. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Sometimes SB Nation's a little more, there's a little more mixed media in it and not just straight journalism. So, yeah, that's fair. All right, awesome. So, here we are, NBA season. We're a few weeks after the All-Star game, and we're slowly approaching the home stretch. The Golden State Warriors are chasing history right now. And it's quite amazing because if you look right behind them, the San Antonio Spurs are 49-9. Yeah. That's pretty incredible. And OKC is 41-17. If you took Golden State out of the picture, I mean, those are your kind of elite teams right there. Do you think that the Golden State Warriors are going to break that record, that single season record from the Bulls? It's hard to say. You know, as a Bulls fan, I don't want it to happen. But,
right, I feel
records, they're made to be broken. And honestly, watching this Golden State team whenever they play, they're just such a joy to play and they're such a joy to follow. It really doesn't matter to me because, as I said, records are made to be broken. And, you know, it all changes once the playoffs start. You know, even if they do break the record, they still got to go all the way. So that doesn't matter as much to me as the playoff matchups go.
Sure. No, that's definitely understandable. And, you know, we look over to the Eastern Conference as, you know, it has its reputation not being as good as the West the past few years. Yes. Cleveland is in first, Toronto in second, Boston in third. That's kind of a surprise. They have 35 wins, 35-25.
Right.
Yeah, it's the Eastern Conference, but did you expect them to be this good?
Maybe not this quickly, but I think in Boston they're doing a really good job of rebuilding, you know, after the Kevin Garnett era, after the Doc Rivers era, the Paul Pierce era, you know, the big three back in the 2007 and so on. Brad Stevens is an excellent young head coach.
Yes, he is.
He knows what he's doing, man. I mean, he came in there from Butler and he had a plan right from the start, and they've done a good job drafting. They've done a good job preparing for the future. In particular, trading Rajon Rondo to Dallas last season, they got a couple really good assets for him.
Yes, they did.
Just, it's a rebuild done right, you know? And with Brad Stevens at the helm, it's coming along really quickly, and that's definitely one of the up-and-coming teams in the league.
Oh, I definitely agree. And, I mean, let's face it, Rajon Rondo, as good as he is, you don't want that kind of attitude around a rebuilding team.
No, not at all.
And we saw how his tenure in Dallas, that was not, you know, very pleasant.
It was a disaster.
Yeah.
To put it lightly.
Yeah, I would agree. And so in the rest of the East, we have the Miami Heat, 32-26, and I believe they just got Joe Johnson, or that's the plan. Is it official?
I'm not sure if it's official yet. I've been out all day, but I think reports are saying that he will sign there after the Nets buy him out.
Okay. And we were talking about the other day on the other show I do sports-wise, and that's M&P Sports Show on Wednesday nights. We were talking like 2 weeks ago about like Joe Johnson is still on this Nets team, and it's just the rest of it's pure garbage. And we're asking, is he going to go somewhere? Is he going to be traded? And, it looks like he's finally going to be moving on, at least from that.
Yes.
And Miami is still, not doing too badly, even after losing LeBron.
They're still in it.
Yeah. And they still have Luol Deng, don't they?
They do. Luol Deng is still there. Dwayne Wade is still there. Chris Bosh is still there, although I'm not sure what his status is because, he's got the blood clot.
Right,
and,
yeah.
We're not sure if that's going to keep him out again. I really hope it doesn't. He's a good guy, and he's a good player. So
yeah,
obviously you want to see him stay in the league, but if it's for the long-term health,
you got to do what you got to do.
Sit out, yeah. But yeah, Miami, they're kind of a middling team. I will say with that roster they have, they might be able to make the second round. I think with Wade he's in decline obviously, but he's still a pretty good player. And I think as long as Spoelstra's a good coach too, I like him. And if they get Joe Johnson, we'll see. They'll have the veterans. They'll have the experience.
Sure.
They could be good for a first-round upset, maybe.
Yeah. And then you got the Atlanta Hawks 5, which I guess we were kind of expecting around there. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks usually are playoff contenders. And then you have the Indiana Pacers at 6. Paul George, coming back and doing what he's doing. Then you have the Charlotte Hornets at 7. And, it's still kind of weird calling them the Charlotte Hornets again.
Yes, it is.
In my opinion. But, at least they're back into playoff contention. Now, the 8th seed, we're going to have a whole conversation about these guys. Our team, the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, all right. Woo. Oh, boy. And then 29 and 29, we see the gears starting to turn in this rebuild in the Detroit Pistons.
Yes.
Obviously, there's still more development to be done, more holes to fill, but it's on the uprise there in Detroit.
For sure. Again, I'm going to say their head coach, Stan Van Gundy, is doing one heck of a job there. Mm-hmm. He really knows what he's doing. They've had some bad luck over the past few years.
Sure.
Brandon Jennings getting injured. But, man, Andre Drummond, that guy's a beast. He's
yes, he is.
That's a player you want to build around. That's a player you can build around, especially defensively. So Detroit definitely in the upswing. They're making a lot of good moves in the front office, in free agency and in trades. And I would definitely watch out for them. Maybe not this year, but definitely next year, I would say.
Absolutely. And now I want to get to 2 disappointing teams in the conference. The Washington Wizards, I thought they'd be better than that.
I did too.
27 and 30. Mm-hmm. Very mediocre.
Yeah, after last year, I think expectations were pretty high for them, but they're having trouble staying healthy. And even, John Wall, the Iron Man that he is, the elite point guard that he is, I just love watching him play, but he's been dealing with a lot of nagging injuries.
Yeah.
And I think expectations were pretty high for him and Bradley Beal in the backcourt together. That's one heck of a backcourt, but the rest of the team has not been able to put it together.
Which is too bad.
Yeah.
And then the other big disappointing team, I thought they were really going to be a force this year, was the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 10 games below.
Yeah, boy, that's a mystery to me as well because, you had Jabari Parker, had a strong rookie campaign, but then, he went down with the knee injury. So you figure, hey, he's coming back in his second year. He's got some experience once he gets healthy. Him and Giannis, their young core,
They still have OJ Mayo, don't they?
Do they?
I think they do. Ilyasova gone.
He's somewhere. OJ Mayo is somewhere. He's always somewhere. But,
yeah.
I did not think the trade Brandon Knight for Michael Carter-Williams, I did not think that was a good swap, but I think Milwaukee still had enough talent to be better than they are this season.
I think that at least they'd be a lower seed of the playoffs, maybe a 6 or a 5 at this point. But
I think after seeing them really take it to the Chicago Bulls in last year's playoffs, they didn't beat them, but They gave him a good fight, and I think a lot of people were. I remember watching that here at Concordia, actually.
Was it game 1 we were watching?
Was it game 1?
It was game 1 or game 2.
It was one of the games that Derrick Rose played really well in. So that narrows it down. I think after watching that, people had higher expectations for them as a younger rebuilding team. But
sure,
it's not just about getting the talents. You got to develop it.
Sure.
And as as you see, Detroit, they're developing it. Milwaukee, not so much.
It's kind of scrambled everywhere.
Yeah, like Boston doing an excellent job of rebuilding.
Fantastic job.
Brad Stevens, he gets it. He's obviously not an old man, so he's got time to kill when he's in Boston, right? So
yeah,
he knows that it's going to take a few years. But he's really doing a good job of connecting with his players, establishing team chemistry, which is hugely important when you're rebuilding. I know you're probably going to want to get to the Philadelphia 76ers as well.
Yeah, we got the 76ers and we got the Nets at the bottom.
Yeah, those are two examples of how not to rebuild.
Oh, I mean, when are those 76ers ever going to be good again?
Well, you got to trust the process, Alex. That's what they say. It's all about the process. No. The Sixers, they are in a tough spot because they stink and because they've got a boatload of assets, but I'm not really sure they know what they're doing with it. Like I was saying, it's one thing to have the assets, it's another thing to actually go forward with a plan.
Yes.
They've got Jahlil Okafor, they've got Nerlens Noel, but that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. They just got a point guard at the trade not at the trade deadline, but a while ago, Ish Smith from the Pelicans.
Yes.
When you get a career journeyman like that, and he comes in and he's immediately your best point guard, okay, that's good, but it also says a lot about how you're building your team, So they've got a lot of work to do still, and this whole tanking thing, boy, I don't know. Yes, it will get you the high draft picks,
right?
It will get you the talent, but the question is it a good strategy long term? Because if something happens, if say Jahlil Okafor sustains an injury or if he demands a trade or whatnot, then you're all the way back at square one. You've lost fans. Mm-hmm. You're losing a ton of money.
Yep.
And your team stinks for a very long time. And see, that's the whole thing about the scorched earth rebuild. I know you're really into the whole MLB sort of thing where teams are rebuilding, like your Cubs.
The Cubs, exactly. I mean, look what they did. They stunk for a few years, and now look where they are.
Yeah, but see, they were able to get the correct talent, identify it, and develop it.
Exactly, and they had such a solid plan of doing it.
Exactly.
They knew what they were going to do.
Exactly. The 76ers, not so sure they know what they're doing. They've got the assets, but what are they doing with them? Right.
They're like, well, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and then hopefully things fall into place. No, you got to have a plan.
Yeah.
This team, I know you don't follow the NHL as much as I do, but this team is like the Edmonton Oilers, where they've been bad for so long, but they've been in this rebuilding mode, and they have these talented assets, but they're not going anywhere.
That's on coaching.
Anywhere.
You got to develop it.
Exactly. They're not developing, and they're not filling in the right holes. They have all this scoring on the Oilers, but they never have a defense, and they don't develop things right, like you said.
The only thing I know about the Oilers is one of my friends on Twitter. He says, I'll see him tweet about the Oilers sometimes, said, the Oilers just scored a goal. It's time for the other team to score a goal. A few seconds later, hey, the other team just scored a goal.
Yep, that's the Oilers.
The only thing I know about the Oilers, but that's not good, obviously.
They lose their games like 7-6, 7-5. They score the goals, but they can't hold them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that pretty much sums up the Eastern Conference. Why don't we talk a little bit more about the West? We mentioned the Warriors, we mentioned the Spurs, we mentioned the Thunder, and then you have the Blake Griffinless Clippers, which that whole situation was weird.
It's really dramatic, and it's a pretty sad situation for the league when you've got one of your star players, going out and punching some guy.
Yeah,
that's something that that's an image that the NBA was trying to move on from.
But this certainly does not help.
No, especially for a team like the Clippers, who, I'll be frank, don't have the best reputation around the league.
Oh, no. I mean, between, controversy with the ownership, the way they've choked in the playoffs, and now this.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be the good team in LA, the good basketball team. Now, how often can you say that?
Well, they are, but that just says a lot about the Lakers and how bad they are.
But unfortunately for the Clippers, they have so much shadowing over them. It's like you can't glorify them as a good team.
Yeah.
And then we have the Memphis Grizzlies at 5, the Dallas Mavericks at 6, the 7 seed is the Portland Trailblazers, and 8 seed is the very disappointing, mediocre Houston Rockets.
Yes.
We thought that they were going to be, I thought they were going to be up there with San Antonio and Golden State.
We did.
I mean, that team was built to win.
It's built to win, and they've got something going on down there. Daryl Morey, their GM, I'm a big fan because he's of the new school of analytics. Mm-hmm. He really emphasizes shots at the rim and three-point attempts. And you look at how their roster is constructed, it does just that. You've got Dwight Howard in the middle, not going to shoot it from anywhere other than 5 feet from the hoop or at the hoop.
Right.
And then you've got just a cluster of three-point shooters, James Harden, Trevor Ariza, Corey Brewer, the like. And They had some success last year. I think you remember them coming back against the Clippers in that series.
Oh yeah, well, they were down 3-1.
They were down
weren't
3-1, and
Wow.
they came back
Yeah.
and they won the series. And that's I think everyone started thinking, okay, this team can contend.
Yeah.
But they just start out the year terrible. Kevin McHale gets fired, and now we got all the dirt coming out after the trade deadline. Oh, James Harden wanted Kevin McHale fired. Dwight Howard wanted so and so fired. James Harden wanted Dwight Howard traded.
Ever since Dwight Howard left the Magic, there's just been so much drama with him.
You got to look at the least common denominator. You got to look at what's following him around, and I don't think it's a mystery anymore.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
No.
Okay, so then a few teams, quote, in the hunt for the 8th seed. There's really only one that pops out. The Utah Jazz are like a game back or so.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is just kind of way at the bottom there.
That's the thing about the Western Conference. You talk about, well, this, like the 8th seed would be the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, but the Western Conference is pretty top heavy.
Yeah,
like you've got a few
true.
teams that are really, really good, and you've got a few teams that are not so good.
Oh, yeah. Then, because after that, you got Sacramento,
Yeah.
New Orleans, no good, except for Davis.
AD.
He's a stud. He's
amazing.
superstar.
That guy, oh.
He's wasting away with the Pelicans.
He gets better and better I don't know if you saw his 50-point performance, his 50-point 20.
Unreal.
Did he score 49? I think he scored 50 and 20 or something like that.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But he was hitting moves. He was hitting like Dirk Nowitzki step back Jays over like tall defenders. I'm like, man, you got to get a good team, bro. You got to get yourself on a good team because
Who else is on that team? Like anyone of note?
Drew Holiday and yeah,
That's about it. That's about it.
I'm sorry, I have nobody else really.
I was gonna say I can't blame you. I don't know. My brother probably barely knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you got the Denver Nuggets, who when was the last time they were really any good?
Last time they were good was we were in high school.
Yeah.
We were in high school way back in the day. We were in high
Way
school.
back.
They gave I remember they gave the Oklahoma City Thunder a great first round series. I think it went to 7 games. That's back when I think George Karl was still there.
Yeah.
But that's when they got their big haul from the New York Knicks when they traded Carmelo Anthony. They got a really talented young core over there, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And now they are wasting away in mediocrity.
And then there's the Minnesota Timberwolves, who just every year they're like, all right, time to improve, time to climb towards 500. Yeah, then they're lucky to win 25 games.
Well, here's the difference. This year they have Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
That guy he's legit.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. That guy is a star in the making if he isn't already. There's not many more talented big men in the league, and he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
They've got a future.
Yeah. At least they have that.
They have a future, yeah.
And then you have the Phoenix Suns, 14-44. This was the Phoenix Suns we predicted like 2 years ago when they almost made the playoffs.
Right.
That's the Phoenix Suns now. That's what we thought.
Yeah, that's back when they were really overachieving. Then they just missed out and took a nosedive.
Yeah.
And things have gotten worse as the season went on. You've got the drama with the Morris twins.
Yep.
Jeff Hornacek fired. It's just not been good at Phoenix, and for them, I'm not seeing much of a future for them.
Yeah.
They don't have those assets like Minnesota or Philadelphia does, so they've got to pull a rabbit out of their hat because they have to tank. I mean, I'll just be blunt. They have to tank.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And go from there because this isn't cutting it.
Right. And now we go to who I argue is the worst team in the league, and arguably the worst team in sports right now, the Los Angeles Lakers.
I would agree with you on worst team in the league right now. Sports in general, boy, I don't know. That's a pretty shameful award to be aiming for. But
look at them.
Yeah,
They're terrible.
At them. It's hard to look at them because they're so bad. It is very painful.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, let's face it. There is one reason that this team is being watched this year. Kobe Bryant. That's it. There's no other reason to watch the Lakers.
Nope. And if you value good basketball, there's really zero good reasons to watch the Lakers. Because, I know Kobe, he's a legend, one of the greatest ever, but over the past few seasons, it's time. Put it that way. It's time.
Yeah. I mean, you saw, like, an example we could relate to back here. It's not the same sport, but you remember Paul Konerko's last year as a White Sox.
Very fondly. Well, somewhat.
There wasn't much of it.
No, there wasn't much of it. He didn't do very much. He kind of fell off a cliff, which is really disappointing.
It is. You hate to see a player like that go out that way.
Yeah.
But, well, I mean, my opinion on that was I think he should have retired the year before and nothing would have been hurt.
Right.
But, that's a story for another day. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I watched the game against the Bulls Sunday night. And we all wanted to watch it because me and my friends were like, it's his last one at the United Center. Why not turn it on?
Of course.
I look at the team around him. I'm just like, who on earth are these people? Who are they? A D-League right there, if you could even call it that.
Yeah, they've got some pieces in there that are, how do I put this diplomatically?
Somewhat notable.
They've got a couple good young players. They've got D'Angelo Russell. I really like him.
D'Angelo Russell does have promise, yes.
But see, here's the thing. Byron Scott.
Oh.
Here's another example of how not to rebuild. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Kobe out there playing 40 minutes a game. You got Byron running him into the ground. Okay, Mitch Kupchak, their GM, basically said at the beginning of the season, this is Kobe's year. All right?
Yeah.
Fine. I get it. You want to sell tickets. You want to honor one of your best players ever. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. That's perfectly fine. But when you have your head coach, D'Angelo Russell, he's maybe going to be starting. Maybe he's not. He might be closing. He might not. No. This is the NBA.
Yeah.
You gotta develop your talent because there's no time to waste because all these other bad teams, they're developing their talent.
Yeah.
There's no Kobe in New Orleans. There's no Kobe in Philadelphia. There's no Kobe in Minnesota, although you could say Kevin Garnett. But
no Kobe in Boston.
No Kobe in Boston. And what are they doing? They're rebuilding the right way.
Yeah.
They're on their rebuild. They know what they're doing. They have a plan. They're executing it. The Lakers, I don't know what their plan is.
I don't think they have one.
What is their plan beyond this? Honor Kobe. All right. So what after that? I don't know.
I think they're very play it by ear. We'll just see where it goes, and that doesn't cut it.
No, look, I know, I get it. You're the Lakers. You've had basically everything go right for you for the past dozen years or so, but
you're known for being one of the most successful teams in all of sports, but right now you're all but.
They're in quite the hole.
Yeah. I mean, it's like seeing the Yankees in last place, basically.
Yeah, not something you thought you'd ever see, but it is very much a reality.
Yes, it is. Well, that was pretty much a discussion as the league as a whole, and we're going to go for a quick news break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss the hometown Chicago Bulls. Stick around on WCGR 88.5 FM.